Hey guys! Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to do a book review of the latest book that I have successfully completed, and it is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. There we go. There, you can see it? Yes? Lovely. Now some of you will know that this is the same author as the phenomenal book Go on the Train. I'm one of these people that read Go on the Train first and then this, and I wish I did the other way around. I think that this book would have been fantastic if I had read this first. I would say yes, it's complex, it's thought out, and it's spooky. And then I would have read Go on the Train and I would have gone, oh my god, that's amazing. So, having said that, there are some good parts. Let me start off by saying that this is a novel that is in a little rural place in Britain called Beckford, made up place. And you start the story by finding out that there's a young woman who has just been found drowned in the what they call the drowning pool, capital D, capital P. The drowning pool is known as a pool that it's to get get rid of troubled women. We find this character now at the bottom of the pool, and it must be suicide. Everybody's thinking it must be suicide. I mean, there was no marks on her wrists from any struggles. There was no disturbance in the ground from anybody pushing her, and no gunshot wounds, no knife wounds, nothing. But her family know that she's not the type to just jump. And her sister mysteriously got a phone call from her just before she died saying, I need to tell you something. So what was it? My review of this says that I would give it probably a 6 out of 10, maybe a 5 actually. That's not because I hated it, but just these are my thoughts. Now, like I said, this is by the same author, so it's difficult to not compare this to the Girl on the Train. But I felt, whereas the Girl on the Train had sort of 3-4 main characters really, including the main alcoholic and her ex-husband, but maybe 3 or 4 main characters. This one had, say 12 characters. I never actually counted. And because there were so many characters, and because in each way, because in each chapter it refers to somebody else's point of view and it jumps back and forth, it's actually quite difficult to follow. I read somewhere a review that said that this lady first read this book by audio, and she just nearly threw the tape in the bin. She really did. She just got so confused by so many points of view, she just almost gave up on it. Which I can understand, because it would send you mad. It really would. But whereas with the Girl on the Train, because you had the smaller characters, you kind of grew to like them and you felt that you could relate to them, whereas this one's you couldn't really. The author doesn't really go that deep into each person's personality and their preferences and that sort of thing. They just sort of skim over everything. This makes it quite a complicated book to read, really. I mean, quite often I found myself referring back to the front page, or the front chapter. Thankfully, where is it? It is here. They have a list of everybody, that sort of who they are, who they relate to and all that sort of thing. And I quite often related back to this. I quite often, you know, you'd start another chapter and go, oh, this is Lena. Now, who the hell was Lena again? And you have to go back to that chapter and find out. Which is a little bit pain in the ass. You know, you're trying to read it seamlessly and it just jumps all over the place. However, the good thing about that is that each chapter is quite short. The majority of them are quite short, and it's quite choppy. So because they're different characters, it doesn't waffle on for a long time. So you could easily just finish a couple of chapters a night. Whereas in The Girl on the Train, for example, and I know we shouldn't compare to The Girl on the Train, but it's difficult not to. It really is. We've all loved that book so much, it's difficult. And we were expecting the same sort of quality in this book. But whereas with that, especially towards the end, you're just madly turning the chapters, you know, you'll sacrifice sleep and everything to get it. And in this one, it didn't quite have the same excitement, really. I mean, yeah, okay, it was spooky. It was spooky, it was eerie, you just kind of think, why is this person doing this? And, oh, well, I didn't know about that. But it's not, oh my god, I have to know now. Again, without spoiling anything. The end of the book, it just kind of felt a bit like, oh well, we knew that person was a bastard anyway. You know, it wasn't sort of like a big twist. It's almost as if the guy we hated the most got his comeuppance in the end, which is good in a way and it's satisfying, but when it's advertised as a thriller, you're not really expecting that. You're expecting that big twist, and it never really comes. But then, to be honest, none of the characters were likeable. You know, I mean, they're all likeable they all have likeable characteristics. So, some of them are mothers, and they care for their children. Some of them are high school children, and they have normal high school teenager worries. But none of them are really likeable, if that makes sense. So, you didn't really... Sometimes when they're not that likeable, you don't really care for them that much. The actual story, I can imagine when Paula Hawkins came to a publisher and said, I've got a great idea, I want to write a story about a woman that was drowned and it looks like that she committed suicide and her family knows she wouldn't commit suicide, so did she really commit suicide or was she pushed? And her publisher probably went, yes, fantastic, that's just what we need, I love it. The story of it could have been fantastic. One thing that nobody can deny is that Hawkins does have a particular style of writing, that it just captures the imagery, it really does. There's this particular scene towards the end that I can't really get out of my mind, to be honest. It's a dream scene. I won't tell you what, but the way that the author describes it, and like, for example, the character's eyes and her face, you just, I don't know, maybe it's because we've watched too many movies of similar sort, but you can really imagine it in your head. So she's fantastic at that. She's fantastic at describing a scene, and you can perfectly imagine what she wants you to imagine. One of the things that I think did let it down, and there's been quite a few people that have said this, is that we feel that it's just too many characters. There really is. I mean, you don't need that many characters. I read a couple of reviews after I read the book, and you know what? I'm kind of glad I did, to be honest. Kind of glad I read it after, which doesn't bode too well for this video, but still, because otherwise I wouldn't maybe have read the book. But there's just too many characters. Some of the characters you think, you get to the end of the novel and you think, well, what did this person actually do? I've just read like, I don't know, 20 chapters of their life that added no impact to me. They had nothing to do with anything. So it could have been shortened a lot by skipping out some characters, and I feel that it would have made a better book. I quite like the imagery of this book, to be honest, just thinking that. But it's kind of got like, oh, there's actually a person there. I didn't notice that. Is it on the bottom? No, okay. Let's see if you can see this. No, there's actually a person there. Maybe that's supposed to be Nell. But look, it's got like branches all around the book. That's quite fitting to the sort of creepiness of it. They've done well on the artistry on this. Just a nod to the, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what they call them. The person who done the artistry, the image, that person, fantastic job, mate. But yeah, I found myself drifting in and out of this book. I mean, it was still good enough that I could recall what had just happened. It wasn't like I had just completely forgotten when I would have to go back and went, oh, what happened in the last chapter? No, I didn't have to do that. I could remember what happened, but it didn't grip me the same way. I mean, we all have busy lives. We all go to work, some of us have kids, some of us have, I don't know, swimming on Tuesday nights. You know, we all have things to do. But the point of a really good book is that you can't wait to get home and just read more of it, find out what happens. And I'm not so sure I felt that with all of this book, to be honest. But yeah, other than that, I would, despite what I said earlier, I would recommend reading it just because it will satisfy your curiosity. If you're looking for a mystery, then go and pick up this book in your local bookstore, or if you find it in a charity shop, then even better. And as for this video, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, please. Hit the subscribe button, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye!